Well, it's time to continue working on my rust repairs. The area that I wanted to focus on today is going to be the license plate lights here on this back panel. I do have, I guess, replacement bent pieces from Volcus Garage. It's not the hardest shape to make, so I probably didn't need to buy them, but I like that they're already cut out for the specific shape of the lights to go into. So we'll have to do a little bit of cleaning up and address kind of this lip up top here, hoping to just get away with cleaning it up and not needing to replace that. But then these will kind of go into the position as needed, and we'll trim these to shape, get the rust out, trim that to shape. Don't have a lot of confidence going into this one, but we'll see what can come out of it, and can't really mess it up any worse than the rust already is. So time to dig into it and see what we get. So the lights themselves haven't worked for a long time, and there was one time I did buy all the pieces, the bulbs and the new casings to replace them, but once getting back here and seeing how bad it is and all the screws are kind of rusted in place, it just kind of got put off. And now hopefully with the rust repair, we'll be able to put new bulbs in, new casings in, and have functioning lights again. I showed this lip in a previous video, but it does have rust. Only in the middle section, it does get to, I guess, clean metal towards the outer bits, but this part in the middle is quite rusted. I'm hoping that I can just kind of knock the rust off and clean it up and, I guess, do some type of rust prevention there. There is kind of this spot in here. Hopefully it's not a full hole. I'd have to figure out, I guess, how to get these two pieces to align and how to kind of, I guess, cut in this new metal to fix this area. So hoping for a minimal need of work up top, but we'll see how bad it is as we dig into it. So for my initial exploration of the rust, I'm going to try to drill out the screws that are holding the lights on. They're well beyond rusted, so I don't even think I could get a screwdriver onto them. I'm gonna get those out of the way and see how bad it is behind the lights. I think I'll have to worry about some of the wiring behind it. So that'll be right after we get the lights out of the way. I think the lights can just peel out, break the rust loose as we do it. Loose bulb coming out. It tells you how bad the rust is if I can just yank it out. I've got the lights out of the way. There's a little bit left of the screws that I think I'll just cut off, especially on this side, which is the driver's side. You can see that screw on the left. The lights are out of the way, and that starts to give us room to work with. I was able to get all of the wiring. It was just kind of clipped up under this lip and then goes behind, I guess, where the central locking mechanism, I think it is behind that panel, but it was able to squeeze through the top of it. I am noticing that I guess where the license plate clips come through, they have some rust around them. So we'll have to pop those pins out and clean up that area, and it doesn't seem like it's going to have to cut out and replace type of metal, but we'll check just in case. And there you go. You can kind of see through to what we need to work with, but the wires are out of the way, and I'm not worried about catching anything on fire or burning the wires that we'll need eventually.
Look, I've upgraded. I don't know if you can hear me, but I've upgraded to have more PPE.
All right, I have no more concern about the back of, I guess, the license plate clips. A little bit of grinding back here, and they look pretty good on both sides. Below the lights are looking better. I just tried to kind of, I guess, grind down the paint where I think I'll make my cuts and my welds, and then tried to grind down the remaining bits of, I guess, where the screws clip into, and just kind of around that to make it nice and smooth so that my new part lays flat when I go to, I guess, scribe out where I'm going to cut. And obviously the rust doesn't look like it really spread too much further than the outline of the lights. Everything up here still kind of looks bad, but I'm gonna probably stay with not cutting this out and trying to put a new piece in. Might regret that later on, but just feels a little beyond my skills at this point. Some areas did clean up nicely, like right in here. So maybe just a little bit more attention on it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes with some more time. All right, I think this is in a good spot to continue. I'm not entirely sure which is the best way to do it. If I want to basically trace out my full patch panel and cut out the shape to match the patch panel, the full patch panel. So I'm going to try that on the driver's side and see how that goes. And if I need to change it, I'll change it for the passenger side, which in that case, I'll cut out a shape, fit my patch panel on there, and then trim my patch panel to fit the shape that I've cut out. I'm going to try maybe both ways just to see which one I prefer. I don't know which is the proper or which is the more recommended way to do it. Luckily, I have two options, so I can kind of play around with it and see what fits. So I've traced out the full patch panel on the driver's side, and I know that the Sharpie lines that I have are going to be on the outside of the patch panel, and the thickness of the Sharpie kind of goes into it. So I'm definitely going to want to err on the side of caution and go kind of inside of my Sharpie lines. So hopefully that patch panel fits in there really nice. Okay, I have the patch panel in. The bottom lines up nice. Got a bit of a big gap where I miscut on, I guess, the inner side. The driver's side, outer side looks good. The shape isn't perfectly bent, so my plan is to kind of get this bottom piece tacked in, welded in, and then bend it up. I think I got to like smack up where the light would be to get that flush on that line, and then that should kind of settle it in. And then I'll have to trim the top of my patch piece off to get it to fit into the top. It's more overhang than I have, so it's kind of where I'm at and where we're going to jump into welding it. A couple across the bottom and it's stuck in place. That's kind of what we're going for. Like I said, big gap over here, so we'll focus here across the bottom. I think I'm going to have to just lightly tap it to get it a little smoother in there. And then, of course, like I said, we'll pull this top piece up, and it's already looking like we'll be able to bend that into place all right. Quick progress report. We've got the bottom and some of the sides done. Now it's just going to be cutting what I need to from this overhang and getting the top and the little bit of the sides left. And this first one should be in place. And now that I think of it, I might want to remove this lock here so that I can have full access to grind and whatnot and not worry about messing that thing up. With my piece kind of welded in at the bottom, I still have to cut the top to shape. So the plan is going to be to stick a piece of cardboard behind it and then get in the trunk and I guess draw a line on the back of that cardboard, bring it to the front, transfer that line to my piece, and hopefully cut along that line and be able to just kind of tap this back into place, and it should hopefully line up pretty well. Here's the quick preview of the shape, I guess, that I have to cut the top. The right-hand side over here is a little bit higher. My actual first cut wasn't very straight, so at least I know that it's matching kind of the lopsided cut that I originally did. Got the marker line on the metal. Now I'll remove the cardboard and cut and see how well it fits. I gotta say that was pretty difficult. Maybe 2/3, 3/4 of it went together pretty well. Bit of an issue in this area where there's just too much of a gap. And I would say that the panel where the actual light would go, instead of being, I don't know, parallel with the ground, mine does kind of bow out a little bit. So that's probably just down to me not bending the piece or getting it lined up right. But I think once I grind it, and I'll have to do a lot of grinding on these welds, I think it should be fairly smooth across like the body panels. So at least the transitions will be okay there. And I would imagine once I have the plate filler in my plate, it's not like it's bent out so far that I'm gonna miss lighting up the license plate, but it's in there. Obviously one more to go. I think if I can get it down to a perfect fitting piece, the welding aspect of it will go fairly straightforward. It's really just that bit of, I guess, accounting for the thickness of my cutting disc and not making that gap too large. I did like the piece at the top when I was trying to basically trim. I still had a little bit after the first cut, and then I really just kind of sent the blade into it and kind of, I don't know if I cut a little bit of the body, a little bit of the panel, but it did fit really well on, I guess, the driver's side of the piece. It was just kind of where I messed up at the beginning. Maybe even the original cut, I had a little bit wild on this inner kind of more passenger side of it. But almost done with this first side, and then we'll tackle the second and maybe try to plug the lights in and see how well that goes. So I'm trying to blast through the passenger side. Had some adventures cutting the hole down here, but for the most part, this piece is fitting pretty well. I can push up on this corner and we've got a pretty consistent gap around. And I will say that this is currently being held in without any magnets. So maybe that's to say something about the fit. It's just kind of wedged in there really nice. Had to bang a little bit on the back to get it a little bit more flush in some of the corners. But again, this is in without any tacks, without any magnets, without any tape, anything like that. So overall, I'm fairly happy with how this one's sitting in here. I'll go ahead, get a couple tacks in the corners that I like, and then maybe coerce like this section to be flat. The other side looks okay. Maybe a little hammering to get that up into space. We'll say the pieces weren't perfectly bent to the right dimensions, so just some tapping to get a little bit more curve in it and a little bit better to the actual body line. All right, so I kind of hurried through this second one. It was actually a really nice fitting piece, but I always have difficulties right now being upside down and trying to weld. And then down here where I made some bad cuts, I would say I needed to really glob in some welds. But overall, it's okay. I'm not upset with it. We'll try to get it like this other one, start grinding it down. I stopped grinding it down just because I wanted to get one of those like belt grinder sander things. So we'll see how far down I want to take this one before pausing, but our license plate area is getting better. Well, I think this is where I'm gonna kind of end this video. I have one of my replacement lights just taped into place because I still have to buy, I guess, the clips and new screws to really set it in there. And I want to go ahead and grind these down a little bit better. But with what I have right now, I'm not really getting into the, I guess, the fine curvature of the part. What I think I am going to do is pick up a belt sander to kind of get more in the curvature of the car and clean this area up a little bit better. But overall, I've got the new metal in. It fits with the new light housings. And funny enough, when I was trying to find the housing pieces that I'd bought, I actually found 2 sets. So I have a total of 4 of them. Clearly, I have been thinking about replacing these for a long time and have gone ahead and accidentally ordered this twice. So now I have some spares on hand. But this one's in. The other side, it fits in there. I just don't have the hardware to lock them into place. A little bit more cleanup on my ugly welds and we'll be done here. I am feeling more confident kind of each part that I go and replace. So as I move through the car, hopefully that continues. I've got some big pieces coming up in a little bit more complex shapes. So every bit I think is going to get a little bit harder in complexity, but hopefully with kind of more time on the welder, things will start to get easier for me. So if you want to see what comes next, don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a lot more to tackle with this car, and hopefully some other tasks with the car will be coming soon as well. Thanks for watching.